Okay, here's a wild thought. What if the universe isn't made of stuff at all? What if, at the very bottom of it all, reality wasn't built from matter, but from minds? Well, today we are diving headfirst into that very idea, from the brilliant and, let's be honest, pretty bizarre theory of the 17th century genius Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. You know, we all ask that question. What are the fundamental building blocks of our world? Physicists talk about quarks, leptons, these tiny indivisible little bits of matter. But what if they're looking in the completely wrong place? What if the ultimate particle of reality isn't a particle at all? I want you to try and imagine something with no size, no shape, and zero physical properties. That is the absolutely radical idea at the very heart of Leibniz's masterpiece, the Monadology. To really get this, we have to meet Leibniz's fundamental unit of existence. So I need you to forget everything you think you know about atoms. We're going somewhere much, much stranger. Leibniz called this thing a monad, and the key word here is simple. In philosophy, that means it has absolutely no parts. You can't break it, you can't split it, you can't even imagine it having components because it just doesn't. These, Leibniz says, are the real, indestructible atoms of nature. So this sets up a huge contrast. Everything we see, a chair, a planet, even our own bodies, is a composite thing. It's just a collection of parts. But a monad? A monad is a pure absolute unity. It's not like a tiny little marble. It's more like a non-physical point of existence itself. And these monads have some pretty incredible properties. I mean, since they don't have parts, they can't be built or fall apart in the natural world. Only a divine act could create or destroy one. Also, every single one is completely unique. No two are the same in the entire universe. And, maybe most importantly, they aren't static. Each one is constantly changing, humming along with its own internal engine. Okay, so if a monad has no parts and isn't physical, what is even going on inside of it? Like, what does it do? Well, Leibniz lays out this really beautiful logic. He says, look, for a monad to be unique, it has to have its own qualities. He calls these internal states perceptions. Now, this isn't consciousness like you and I experience it. It's more like a representation of the entire universe from one single, unique point of view. And what pushes it from one perception to the next? An internal force he calls appetition, kind of like a constant striving or appetite for its next state. And this right here is Leibniz's killer argument for why perception can't be physical. It's his famous mill argument. He says, imagine a machine that could think. Now, what if we scaled it up to the size of a mill so we could just walk right inside? What would we see? Just cogs and levers pushing each other around. We would never, ever find the actual experience of a thought. And that was his proof. Perception can't be built from physical parts. It has to be a basic quality of something simple and non-physical. So, we've got these infinite, self-contained little points of perception. But if they're all sealed off from each other, how do they all add up to one coherent universe? This is where the theory gets, well, it gets really beautiful. Leibniz's answer is just astounding. He says every single monad, from one that makes up a speck of dust to the one that is your soul, contains within it a complete reflection of the entire cosmos. Every single one is a perpetual living mirror of everything. He gives us this great analogy. Imagine a single city, but it's being viewed from countless different angles. Every single view is unique, right? Some buildings are in sharp detail, others are just a blurry background. That's how monads work. Each one has its own perspective. Its perception is distinct for whatever is metaphysically close to it, like the body it belongs to, and it gets more and more confused for everything else, fading out into infinity. All right, but this leads us to the biggest, most obvious problem with this whole theory. If every monad is a little self-contained universe, totally sealed off from all the others, how does anything work? Exactly. Leibniz literally says monads have no windows. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. So if my mind monad decides to raise my arm, and the monads that make up my arm also just so happen to go up at the same time, how is that possible if they can't influence each other? It should be total, complete chaos. Leibniz's solution is just a jaw-dropper. He calls it the pre-established harmony. The idea is that God, at the moment of creation, basically acted like a master programmer. He preloaded the entire life story, every single perception it would ever have, into every single monad. They don't interact with each other because they don't need to. They're all just running their own perfectly synchronized programs in a pre-established harmony. But, okay, that just raises another massive question. Leibniz believed that in the mind of God, there were an infinite number of possible universes he could have created. So, why this one? The answer? Because, according to Leibniz, this is the best of all possible worlds. It's the one that strikes the most perfect balance between having the greatest possible variety and richness of experience while being governed by the simplest, most elegant set of laws. Our world exists because, in a cosmic competition, it just had the strongest claim to reality. It was the most perfect version possible. So, what about us? Where do human beings and our minds fit into this incredible cosmic clockwork of mirrors?
Well, Leibniz makes a really important distinction here. He sees animal souls as basically running on memory and sensation. They react to the world. But human minds, we have something extra: reason. We don't just experience things. We can understand eternal truths, like the rules of logic or math. And this unique ability, he argued, makes our minds a mirror, not just of the universe, but of the divine mind of God itself.
And all of these rational minds, taken together, form what Leibniz poetically called the city of God. It's like a moral kingdom existing inside the natural world. In this kingdom, God isn't just the cosmic architect, he's also the perfect monarch, making sure that in this grand, harmonious system, goodness and justice ultimately win out. So let's end with this thought. If Leibniz is right, and the universe really is this huge collection of infinite mirrors, each one reflecting the entire cosmos from its own unique position, then what does the reflection inside your mind look like? What unique version of reality does your perspective reveal?